Max Verstappen currently sits sixth in the Formula One Drivers' Championship with 109 points, the result of a difficult first half of the season. For a four-time world champion, this position is unusual, and it has now triggered a clause that could reshape the remainder of his career. Verstappen's contract with Red Bull runs until 2028. Inside that contract sits a performance-based exit clause, one tied directly to championship position. The condition is simple: if Verstappen falls outside the top two in the drivers' standings at the summer break, the clause becomes active. With Verstappen sitting sixth at that checkpoint, the clause is now formally active, giving him a contractual pathway out of Red Bull before the deal's natural end date, the team most persistently linked to Verstappen for the 2027 season is McLaren. Multiple reports describe private contact between McLaren CEO Zak Brown and Verstappen's camp. At the same time, sources close to McLaren describe any potential deal as speculative at this stage, not a completed arrangement. This caution is reinforced by McLaren's current driver situation. Both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are already contracted to the team on a long-term basis, leaving no obvious vacancy for a third driver of Verstappen's stature. Adding another layer to the speculation is the situation of Verstappen's longtime race engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase. Lambiase is reportedly planning a move to McLaren, a development that has been cited as a contributing factor in the growing rumors around Verstappen's own future. A race engineer following a driver, or a driver following an engineer, is not unprecedented in Formula One, and the timing of Lambiase's reported move has only intensified attention on Verstappen's contract situation. Verstappen himself has been open about his technical grievances with the current Red Bull car, built under the new 2026 aerodynamic regulations. His stated complaints include turbo lag, a drop in power under braking, and understeer caused by the new aero rules. These are not rumors or media constructions, they are frustrations Verstappen has voiced directly about the car's on-track behavior this season. As things stand, there is no confirmed decision date for Verstappen's future. The exit clause gives him the option to leave, but no announcement, timeline, or destination has been confirmed by any party involved. While Red Bull manages uncertainty over its lead driver, Mercedes has been executing a calculated gamble that is now paying off at the top of both championships. Mercedes leads the Constructors' Championship with 379 points, a lead of 72 points over second-placed Ferrari, who sit on 307 points. In the drivers' standings, Andrea Kimi Antonelli leads with 219 points, 50 points clear of Lewis Hamilton, who sits on 169 points. Mercedes technical director James Allison has confirmed that this position is the result of a deliberate strategic decision. Mercedes finalized the aerodynamics and bodywork of its W17 later than usual, choosing to delay lock-in in order to maximize performance for the opening races of the season. This was not a rumor or a reconstruction after the fact, it is a strategy Allison has confirmed directly. Describing the consequence of that choice, Allison said Mercedes is now out of phase with its rivals, since Ferrari and McLaren fixed their car concepts earlier in the year and moved into their development cycle sooner. In practice, this means Mercedes entered the season ahead on raw pace but behind on the development calendar compared to its closest competitors. That gap is now closing through pace of development rather than raw car concept. Mercedes wind tunnel gains are currently running at roughly half a second every 2 months, a development rate that is 6 to 7 times faster than the team achieved last year. This acceleration in development speed is the mechanism by which Mercedes intends to defend its championship advantage as rivals bring their own updates. That advantage, however, comes with a real risk attached to it. Mercedes' two lead drivers face significant engine penalty exposure as the season progresses. Antonelli is already on his fourth power unit of the season, while Russell is on his third. Under Formula One's engine allocation rules, a fifth power unit for either driver would trigger a 10-place grid penalty, a consequence that could directly threaten Mercedes' points lead in the remaining races if either driver's engine allocation runs out before the season ends. While Mercedes manages its championship lead and its engine risk, McLaren delivered its own statement result at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lando Norris won the race from pole position, his first win of the season. The victory came after his teammate Oscar Piastri, who had led the race in its early stages, was collected by a lapped Carlos Sainz, ending Piastri's chance of victory and opening the door for Norris to take the win. That result keeps McLaren in third place in the Constructors' Championship with 220 points. In the drivers' standings, Norris trails championship leader Antonelli by 91 points, a gap that remains significant but is no longer insurmountable given the pace McLaren has shown. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella has spoken about a staged development plan that will continue through the second half of the season, with further updates expected at the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort and the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. The team's recent updates have focused on improvements to floor edge sealing, which has reduced rear-end instability under acceleration and produced benefits in tire thermal management, improvements that, in general terms, help explain the car's improved race pace at Hungary and its competitiveness heading into the next races. The final major storyline of the season's second half belongs to Ferrari, which sits second in the Constructors' Championship with 307 points, 72 points behind Mercedes. Ferrari is pursuing a two-stage development sequence across two consecutive race weekends, aimed directly at closing that gap. The first stage arrives at the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort, held August 21 to 23. Ferrari will introduce a new floor, an evolution of the specification first introduced in Barcelona. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, the update was fast-tracked after Ferrari compared performance data from the Austrian and British Grands Prix, identifying areas where the floor design could be improved ahead of schedule. The second stage arrives 2 weeks later at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, held September 4 to 6. There, Ferrari will introduce what has been described as the ADUO2 power unit upgrade, the second of two engine development tokens granted to Ferrari by the FIA this season. The token allocation exists because Ferrari's original internal combustion engine was rated at least 4 down on Red Bull's benchmark power output at the start of the year, giving Ferrari additional development allowance to close that gap. The ADUO2 upgrade features a redesigned turbocharger, and is targeting approximately 15 additional horsepower, translating to an estimated gain of 0.2 seconds per lap at Monza specifically. Ferrari's first ADUO token was already used earlier in the season at the Austrian Grand Prix, delivering a more modest gain of roughly 7 to 8 horsepower. Asked directly whether the Monza engine upgrade would allow Ferrari to fully close the performance gap to Mercedes, team principal Frédéric Vasseur was measured in his response. Completely catch Mercedes? I would say no, Vasseur said. We're talking about 1 or 2 tenths per lap. It's not a huge advantage to make up. That statement frames the scale of Ferrari's challenge with precision. The Zandvoort floor and the Monza engine upgrade are real, confirmed steps in Ferrari's development plan, but by Vasseur's own account, They represent incremental gains measured in tenths of a second, not a single upgrade capable of erasing a 72-point championship deficit on its own. Whether those tenths, combined across 2 consecutive race weekends, are enough to shift the balance of the championship fight will become clear as Zandvoort and Monza unfold.